All right, so you've got a big essay on healthcare systems coming up. Perfect. You're in exactly the right spot. We're going to build the perfect guide to help you absolutely crush that essay. And if you're struggling a bit, trust me, you're not alone. It's a tough topic, right? You're staring at that blank page, trying to figure out how to weave together all these huge concepts: universal health coverage, financing, access. It can feel like a real mess. But hey, don't sweat it. In just the next few minutes, we're going to give you the exact framework you need to ace this thing. Seriously. You'll have the key concepts, the right lingo, and a killer case study to build an argument that's going to stand out. All right, let's get into it. Okay, first things first. If you want to get those top marks, you have got to nail this one core idea. This is the foundation for everything else, so listen up. You know, when most people think about healthcare, they just think about the stuff they see, right? The hospitals, the clinics, the doctors, the services. And yeah, a lot of average essays make this mistake too. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. A health system, now that's the whole shebang. It's the entire architecture working behind the scenes. We're talking about the financing, the rules, who gets trained to be a doctor, the government's role, literally everything that makes those services even possible. So here's a great way to think about it for your essay. If the health service is the final dish that lands on your table at a restaurant, the health system is the entire kitchen. It's the chef, the ingredients, the oven, the supply chain, the health codes, all of it. A top-tier essay analyzes the kitchen. It doesn't just describe the food. All right, so we've got our foundation down. Now let's get to the main framework you're going to use in your essay, and that's universal health coverage, or UHC. And listen, this isn't just some buzzword you throw in. It's a really powerful tool for your analysis. So a common mistake is thinking UHC just means free healthcare, but it's way more nuanced than that. Think of it as having three essential parts. Can people get the services they need? Are those services actually any good? And crucially, can they get that care without facing financial ruin? The best way to break this down is by using something called the UHC cube. Let's look at the first side of the cube. This one is all about the population. Basically, who is covered? What slice of the population is actually included in the system? The goal here, obviously, is everyone. Next, we've got this second dimension: services. This asks what's actually covered. We're not just talking about a trip to the emergency room. A really solid system covers the whole spectrum, from preventative checkups all the way to long-term care. And the third dimension, the final piece of the puzzle, is financial protection. How much of the cost is covered? The whole point is to make sure people aren't paying a ton of money out of their own pockets, so that getting sick doesn't also mean going bankrupt. Okay, now here's a distinction that will make your essay sound really smart. There's a huge difference between coverage and access. Coverage is like having a ticket to the theater. Great. But access is about actually being able to get to the theater. Is it nearby? Is it open when you need it? See the difference? A country can say everyone's covered, but if the nearest clinic is 200 miles away, you don't really have access, do you? Nailing this difference is huge. All right, theory is great, but let's make this real. The best essays use examples. So let's apply this whole framework to a fantastic case study: Malaysia. Now, Malaysia is a super interesting case study because when you look at that UHC cube, they've absolutely nailed one dimension: population coverage. Through their public, tax-funded system, they've basically covered everybody. So on that who is covered access, they get a big check mark. And to manage a system this big, they've gone big on digital health, which makes sense, right? It helps with things like sharing data and getting people access faster. But, as you can imagine, it's not all smooth sailing. It comes with its own set of headaches, like massive costs and all sorts of human and software issues. This whole data thing is a really important part of how a modern health system works. You take all this raw data, turn it into useful information, then into real knowledge, and finally, this is the goal, into the wisdom that actually helps you make smart decisions. But, and this is a key point for your essay, just throwing technology at a problem doesn't magically fix everything. Okay, get ready, because this right here is the absolute core of the argument you're going to make in your essay. Even though Malaysia has done an amazing job with population coverage, its system is getting squeezed by what's called a double burden. And these challenges are a real threat to the other parts of the UHC cube and whether the whole thing can last. So what is this double burden? Well, let's break it down. First, people are paying a lot out of their own pockets for healthcare. We're talking 35 to 40%. That totally blows a hole in the financial protection part of UHC. Second, the population is getting older, which means more chronic diseases that are expensive to manage. And to top it all off, the public and private health sectors aren't really talking to each other, which is just super inefficient.
Okay, so how do we wrap all this up into a killer conclusion for your essay? Let's make a quick checklist. This is your game plan.
So, your essay structure should be super clear now. First, define your key terms like a pro. Make that sharp distinction between system and service and coverage versus access. Then, use that UHC cube as the backbone of your analysis. This sets you up perfectly to make your big point, that while Malaysia has population coverage down, it's really struggling with financial protection and making the system run efficiently.
And here's the kicker, the thing that will push your essay from good to great. Don't just point out the problems, offer solutions. You could argue for a big shift toward a primary healthcare approach. That means looking beyond just treating sickness and focusing on keeping people healthy. And you should definitely talk about integrating the public and private sectors to handle that aging population challenge in a smarter, more sustainable way. So at the end of the day, just remember the biggest takeaway here. You are not just writing about doctors and hospitals. You're analyzing the entire complex architecture behind them. A truly fantastic essay will always, always focus on the system. Okay? You totally got this. Now go ace that exam.